I ventured out this year. I left my job as the chief product officer at Dribbble to start a brand new company. And that company is gigantic. My goal is to help you master the new influential disciplines that are driving results within organizations, like product leadership taught by Ben Foster, the former CPO at Whoop. It's not just video courses. We're combining video lectures with take-home assignments and exercises, and then small group mentorship to really help level you up, and all at a cost that most companies' learning and development budget covers. So if you're interested, go to gigantic.is, that's gigantic.is, sign up for a course, and I'll walk you through everything that you need to know. And if you enroll and let me know that you heard about this on Rocketship, I've got a special discount for you.
Welcome to the Rocketship podcast. I'm Michael Sacca.
I'm Joelle Steiniger.
And I'm Matt Goldman.
And we're having 20-minute talks with entrepreneurs teaching you how to launch your product into revenue.
Check out our book at howtobuildarocketship.com to reserve your launch discount and to download a free chapter.
Today on the podcast, we talked with Manuel Weiss, co-founder and CMO of Codeship. And he shares how they apply the scientific method to everything they do, particularly in their marketing pipeline. So he shared examples of experiments they've run and how they iterate on them over time until they've optimized an assumption. And he also talks through their new framework and building blocks for deploying and maximizing the marketing materials that they create.
We'd like to take a moment to thank our awesome sponsors. Codeship makes continuous delivery simple and easy. Go to codeship.com/rocketship to get 20% off 3 months.
We'd also like to thank InVision app. InVision is by far the best prototyping and collaboration tool on the market. Go to InVision app/Rocketship to get the starter plan free for 90 days.
Customer.io is a modern email platform built for startups. Go to customer.io/Rocketship to start sending emails that convert.
Welcome to the Rocketship podcast. We're here with Manuel Weiss, the co-founder of Codeship and their marketing director. Manuel, welcome.
Hey, thank you for having me.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So we had Mo on here a couple weeks ago. Well, I guess a couple months ago now. And we wanted to have you back and kind of tell everyone about what's happening currently at Codeship.
Yeah, sure. So I'd say there are two big things coming up. One would be our redesign. We are working hard on making stuff even simpler than it is right now. People telling us that it's really easy to use Codeship, but we know that it can be way easier. So working hard on that. And the second thing is we actually launched this a few weeks ago and are now rolling it out publicly, basically, and promoting it is our freemium model. So basically, previously people had to pay to try Codeship, and now it's completely free because we think that continuous delivery is awesome and everybody should be able to try it, and paying for it would be a barrier for people. So we wanted to take that away.
Awesome. And is that rolled out yet, or?
The freemium the freemium is actually live, so everybody can just sign in and get 100 builds per month and 5 private projects. So we think that should enable startups and freelancers and even small teams to get started and try continuous delivery.
Very cool.
Once you flip that switch to your freemium model and remove that barrier, did you see kind of immediate results, or what's really happened from that change?
Well, yeah, the promotion went really well. So it was well planned, and we had several promotion waves around that. And of course, we got a huge spike in visits and signups the first few days after we launched it. And we still have increased visits. So I'd say, yeah, definitely it works. And we are happy with the outcome.
Awesome.
So you handle the majority of kind of the marketing framework there at Codeship, and you guys are one of our sponsors, and we got to see a little bit of how you guys evaluate the places that you're experimenting with marketing. I'd love to hear a little bit more about that framework that you've put together.
Yeah, sure. So basically at Codeship, we are, I'd say, very numbers informed. So basically with everything we do, also on the marketing side, of course, but also with features we build, basically anything, we have this rule that everything you think is only an assumption, and your assumptions have to be verified by experiments. So basically you have a new idea and you want to try something. You have to think about a way how this can be quantified and that it's measurable. And after you found a way, you just make your experiment and run it and gather the information out of it and see if your assumption was correct. And if the experiment failed completely, you just stop. And if the results were like okay-ish, I guess, you just iterate the experiment and try to optimize it. And you do this like over several months and gather insights all the time. So in marketing, of course, we do it with analytics products and just having a look at the behavior of people coming to the page or how users are behaving inside the application, although that's the product funnel. And with the features, it's just like we ask our users and customers what we can do better, and we realize where the problems are. And basically that's, I mentioned the redesign of the application. That's basically the same approach. We just see where people have problems and then run a new experiment to try to make it better and look at the outcome.
I love that. Could you give like a specific example of something that you assumed, you tested, and maybe how you iterated on that?
Yeah, sure. I do it with basically anything, but a good example would be a podcast or newsletter sponsorship. For example, our sponsorship with you guys. So basically what I do is, so marketing and the company has the idea, okay, we want to try the channel podcasts. And then I do some research, which podcasts are available and what would very likely fit to our like audience and the audience of the podcast. And then I approach these people. So I approached you guys and ask you about average listeners and all the like interesting stuff that could help me estimate any outcome of the sponsorship. So basically, I ask the podcast hosters about average listens and how things evolved throughout the last few months. And then I personally have to estimate what will happen once the people come from the podcast to the homepage, because this is where my real estimations have to start. So basically, I can go into a little bit of detail there. It's like I have a spreadsheet and I just put the information in there of how many listens and on average what I think how many people will hit our homepage. And then if the podcast topic is like going well with our homepage, or if I should create a specific landing page that talks more about the content that the podcast talks about, because this of course would increase like conversion rates to signups. Because what you talk about on the landing page fits to what the podcast talks about. And after that, after all this information and estimations in my spreadsheet, I basically wait and am in contact with you guys all the time. And after about 1 month, I compare my estimations with reality. And then I have some columns that I called them failure in estimation. And basically this automatically calculates the difference between reality and my estimations. And if the threshold is too high, I've got conditional formatting set up for that, and then it's red. And I don't like it to be red, of course.
Interesting.
This episode is brought to you by Miro. So when I was at Dribbble, over the 6 years, there was one tool that we would always use when we were doing cross-team collaboration. Whenever the collaboration started to get complex, we would bring in Miro. It made it incredibly easy to align stakeholders across regions and time zones and definitely teams with ease. And we were able to do all of that while being a completely remote team. It also has integrations into Jira, Azure, Rally, a lot of the tools that you're using already for product management and engineering. So you can import tasks from them as native cards, and it helps you see the big picture. It also helps stakeholders to understand what work needs to be done. It was incredibly valuable. And then they even have an estimation app that gives you a clear understanding of the work scope, lets you identify gaps, and then it has the ability for you to set clear expectations for delivery, especially when you're working across functions. So your first 3 Miro boards are free forever when you sign up today. Go to Miro.com/podcast. That's Miro.com/podcast.
So what are some of the metrics that you're measuring in this spreadsheet?
Yeah, sure. So right now at Codeship, we're like really happy with the conversion rates from everything that's inside the product. So basically, after a person has signed up, becoming active and activated, and then a customer. So what marketing focuses on is getting people to the homepage and getting them to sign up. So what we are looking most closely at is where do come people from, how many people, unique visitors, hit the homepage, and how many of them sign up. This is the most important thing, but of course you want to take care that you really have to look at what happens after the people sign up as well, even though it's not my main responsibility, I would say at the moment, because it's a product funnel. But stuff that shouldn't happen is something like you've got your paid online marketing set up and you see, wow, awesome, there are a lot of signups, and then you realize, okay, you've got 240 signups in like 3 days, but 0 of them became activated users. So you know something fishy is going on, and suddenly the support team just tells you, hey, we've got an insane amount of support requests. So basically what you did is you did something really harmful for your team and for your company, because you got really uneducated leads inside of the product, which increases support efforts, of course. So this is not the main responsibility, but you always have to keep this in mind that stuff like this can happen.
So you're really focused on the quality of the lead that's coming in.
Yes.
And sign up doesn't necessarily guarantee success, right? There's
Definitely. That's
you're looking
100%
down the funnel. Yeah. That's really interesting. What are, well, Matt, go ahead.
So something that we struggled with in the early months and that we don't really struggle with anymore, I'm not sure what threshold we passed that triggered this, but we would worry about doing marketing before the product was to the right point where people would actually stick with it and pay. And there was almost like an embarrassment where we didn't want people in there. We definitely didn't want to pay or put a ton of effort into getting people in there because we didn't think it was ready. You said that your job is to just pretty much fill the top of the funnel and the product is lower down the chain. Was there a point early on where they didn't want you pumping up the top of the funnel?
That's a great question. It basically was the other way around, because I personally am like, I think one of my core strengths, I know one of my core strengths is optimizing stuff. So basically it really hurts physically when I know there's more potential for a better conversion rate. But you had our CEO Mo on the podcast, and he's like the total opposite. He says, if stuff is remotely ready, put it out there and learn from your users. Learn all the time. Of course, you don't want to give them something that's completely broken, but as soon as it can create benefit and value for your users, put it out there, because they will tell you what needs to be changed. And it's exactly like this. So I now approach it the same way. And the good thing is it doesn't hurt that much because our conversion rates inside the product funnel are really good. We are very satisfied with them. So that's not an issue for me there.
Did you guys take that conscious approach of working on the product first, getting the numbers to where you wanted it to be, and then expanding out into paid advertising?
So when we started, it was really funny when we started because we just had this like beta version and we put it out there, and Flo, one of our co-founders and the CTO, just like told friends about it and in university, and people started using it without us doing really that much. And then a big issue was for us, okay, let's just, people have to pay for it. And it was like, okay, let's do $9 because this will verify if this really can be a commercial product and we can make money with it. And then people really paid. So ever since then, so this was the moment that we knew, okay, this can be a business, and a business needs marketing. So it's really cool that in our founding team is super multidisciplinary, and everybody has like feels in his heart that one thing has to be good. So basically I was the one that said, we really need to have good design and usability. And Flo, our CTO, wanted everything to be like super efficient and high quality software engineering. And Mo was the business guy that wanted to have everything set up correctly with the business. And we knew that we should do some marketing experiments, even though it was like we didn't have any money, but we knew we had to run some experiments to see if like, I remember we put like, I don't know, $200 into Google Ads just to see if somebody would click. And we do this now every now and then just to verify some assumptions regarding messaging. So basically, what words will people react better to? And then I just create a simple banner and see which banner people click more onto.
Interesting. So you actually use Google Ads to create the messaging that you use on your site and in the places that you're paying to advertise?
So we are using Google remarketing ads because we've got a very active blog, and our remarketing audience is like big. So we use remarketing banners exclusively because we can target the users better there.
Nice. So what other kind of experiments are you guys running currently that you're tracking?
So a lot.
Okay.
It's podcasts for different languages, and yeah, I'd say overall topic is podcasts for different programming languages and some other stuff that we think might work well. It's newsletters. It's with paid online marketing is we're having a look at other ad networks right now, for example, AdRoll or Syndicate ads, stuff like that. We are running Facebook remarketing ads. A whole bunch basically. And for every one of these channels, we have the same approach with the spreadsheets, and everything has to be measurable.
Nice. So besides this podcast, what has been the most effective for you guys that you've seen right now?
Nice phrasing.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
What's really cool to learn is, when analyzing the last like 6 to 8 months, I'd say, I've got a spreadsheet for that as well. We found out that like a year ago, we answered some questions on Quora and put 2 weeks effort into it and haven't touched it ever since. And we found out that month by month since then, it gives us every month a lot of unique visitors to the homepage, creates a lot of signups, and the cool thing is it also creates a lot of customers. So the conversion rate from signups to customers with Quora is really good for us. I'd say this was is the one channel that I was like super psyched about when I analyzed all the data, and suddenly all the cells in the spreadsheet turned green, and I was like, yes.
Wow, that's a free channel. Anyone can do
Yes.
that. It's your time and your knowledge that you're giving there.
Exactly.
Wow,
And
that's
of
amazing.
course, our blog works very well for us as well.
And the
regarding
retargeting
signups.
off of the blog?
So that's a very good insight I recently had, is that retargeting ads on blog content and from the blog a conversion to signups and customers works very well. But leading people with a remarketing banner directly to the homepage creates nice signups, but then inside the product funnel, the conversion rates are not that well.
Okay, so you have people coming, reading the content, but they're not necessarily converting.
Exactly.
Interesting.
Exactly.
Okay, but when you get them on a landing page or to the home page, you see those conversions are a lot higher?
No. So what happens is that I have remarketing banners that are leading the people to a blog post that, like, I know from analyzing all the data that these are blog posts that work very well in regards of leading people from the blog post to the homepage. So basically, these are, for example, we've got a video series, we call it Deployment Academy, and in these videos we explain how to use Codeship, and we show that literally in like 5 minutes testing and deployment is set up with Codeship. And so I've got banners linking to that blog post, to that video, and from that video people come to our homepage, and on the homepage they sign up and then they become customers. And what does not work that well is if I just have people that were on the blog clicking on a banner that directly leads them to the homepage.
So you mentioned earlier when we were talking that you recently did a big team building exercise, and
Yes.
what came out of it was actually some big changes to the framework and how you approach all of this. Can you talk
Yes.
a little bit about that?
Yeah, so the team building was amazing. It was super valuable in regards of like team and bonding of the team, but also we got a lot of stuff done. And definitely the biggest thing for marketing was this whole framework we now have to push marketing campaigns through. So basically, we've defined a structure for marketing, which has several departments. For example, like inbound marketing, paid online marketing, event marketing, customer happiness, stuff like that. And each of these departments has subcategories. So for example, you can say inbound marketing, okay, it's the blog content and on the blog videos and, for example, guest blog posts, or we are in third-party newsletters or our social media stuff like this. And what we have done is we found a way that we can connect all these departments to work together to run a campaign. So what we have is, we call it building blocks. And basically those building blocks are templates for campaigns. So for example, a building block would be the release of a new feature or a company milestone or a new blog post. And then you can shoot this campaign through the framework, literally from left to right. And the building block tells you what you have to do with this campaign. So for example, with a new blog post, in the department of inbound marketing, it would be promoting it on Twitter and on Facebook, telling people via email about it that we know might be interested in, creating a newsletter for it, and of course writing the article on the blog. And afterwards, we would look at Quora or SlideShare and have a look if content to this topic is available, and then we could link to the blog post there. And regarding paid online marketing, for example, we then could create banners that lead to the blog post, or we could use Twitter ads and link to the blog post from there. So yeah, stuff like that.
Are you managing all this through a spreadsheet, or do you have a tool that helps you?
No, we are spreadsheet aficionados, so it's all shared spreadsheets that like interconnected like crazy.
That's awesome. How many people do you have working on the marketing side?
So until recently, it was me and our CEO Mo helped with a lot of stuff, and we a few weeks ago we got a new guy, Kurt. He's awesome, and he's focusing mainly on customer happiness and event marketing. But he was a huge help as well with defining this framework. And now the next step we are doing is, so we've got the framework now, we've got the building blocks for campaigns, and now currently what's happening like today and next week is that we create the content roadmap until the end of the year. So we know which features will be built for Codeship. We know what we have to promote, and there are some free spots where we can run experiments and experimental campaigns. And we're getting that into spreadsheet, and afterwards digging more into detail into the single campaigns. So when does what have to happen, and do we have to outreach to people and ask them for help, stuff like that. So we are basically having the high level stuff ready now, and now we're going deeper into what has to be done to pull a campaign off.
Do you have someone who writes full time, or is that divided up among the team based on topic?
No, so we are like super lucky to have engineers that like to write, and Flo, our CTO, he's done it like all his life. He wanted to help people and educate them and teach. So it's a natural thing for him. If he has a new idea he thinks would be valuable to share, he wants to write about it. And of course he cannot write about everything. It has to be like make sense for the company as well. But yeah, so we don't have the exact numbers, but I definitely say that Flo's time is like 20% is used for marketing. And we've got Ben, our infrastructure developer, who writes very, very good articles as well, very technical stuff. And he likes to write as well. So we are super lucky there. We don't have any external people writing that. I mean, yeah, we take guest blog posts if we think that our readers would like them and they would be of value to them. But everything is written by our team.
Oh, that's great.
Thank you.
Well, thanks so much for coming on. This was really, really helpful. I know I learned a lot. My head is kind of spinning with some experiments we can actually run on our side for Hookfeed. So thanks for sharing.
Very good. Yeah, sure. I mean, if anybody wants to approach me, just like, I'm sure my Twitter handle will be on the page and you can ask me anytime about that stuff. Yeah,
where can everyone keep up with you and Codeship online and the Codeship blog?
Yeah, of course, the homepage is like codeship.io, and on Twitter we are at Codeship. And my personal handle I feel is too hard to pronounce, so I won't. And then we've got blog.codeship.io, where we've got our blog, which today I realized, which is really awesome, we've got 120 articles published now, so really proud of that.
That's great.
Thank you.
All right. Well, thanks so much for coming on. We'll talk to you soon.
Sure thing. Thanks. Bye.
Thanks for listening to another episode of the Rocketship podcast. If you haven't yet, pop open iTunes and subscribe to be notified of future episodes. We have some really great ones lined up.
And while you're there, leave us a review. We really appreciate each and every one of them.
Breathe. It's pretty eerie to know you're in a place that no human's ever been before.
This is Armchair Explorer, where the world's greatest adventurers tell their best stories from the road.
And 4 of us were swept down the side of the mountain, and then I knew there was no way out of this thing.
From the heart-pounding to the inspiring and the downright insane. Find Armchair Explorer, a part of APT Podcast Studios, wherever you get your podcasts.
Go and find what it is in the world that matches that wildness in yourself.
Hey, my name is Lovan Rumpf, and I've been working my ass off as a celebrity stylist by day and a podcast host by night. At the Low Life Podcast, it's all about keeping it real. We're talking fashion, beauty, to religion, sex, drugs, mental health. I mean, there's no topic off limits here, and vulnerability is mandatory. You can find my podcast, The Low Life, that's L-O, no W, everywhere and anywhere you listen to your podcasts. New episodes are out every Thursday. We'll see you then.